Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivarathari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunate Ravanachate Yamunate Ravanachate Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Prabhupada 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 Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yagi ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna devotees, welcome you all to this virtual Sunday feast lecture amidst this COVID times. We are very happy today to have the merciful association of His Holiness Bhakti Rasāyana Sagara Svāmī, and Maharaj will be giving a lecture on how to put powerlessness into practice. Thank you, Maharaj, once again for your association, and we hope to see you in New York sometime after the COVID things ease. So please start your lecture, Maharaj.
Thank
And
you.
just a small request, if you want me to share anything, any Bhagavad-gītā or Bhagavatam slok, I can do while you are speaking the lecture.
Okay. Looks like I can also do the screen sharing myself. Yes?
Yes, Maharaj. I have given you the permission.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Thank
So
you,
yeah,
Hare Krishna.
I think we will share some verses, some texts. So we'll start with offering our prayers to the spiritual masters, Vaishnavas, and the Supreme Lord. Mama Gyantimirandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Jnana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanyamrao Bhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Vristaya Bhutale Shimadi Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Chatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mahatprema Puro Vibhu Nirmaikshate Damashu Purusha Gongte Ganan Sada Sadasatmakailam Krishishta Bhagavan Vachamsime Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So wonderful to see all of you. And today we'll read one of the appropriate verses from Bhagavad-gītā as it is. This is chapter 2, text number 7. And it speaks about weakness or powerlessness. And this is really transitional verse which helps Arjuna to surrender to Krishna. Karpanya dosha pahata svabhava prichami tvam dharma samudachetaha yachayasya nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shatimam prapannam. Translation purposed by Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swāmī Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Purport. By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step, there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, and yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not therefore remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse. Who is the man in material perplexities? It is he who does not understand the problems of life. In the Brihat Aranyaka Upanishad 3.8.10, the perplexed man is described as follows. Yava etat aksharam gargya vi aviditva smallokat praiti sa kripana. He is a miserly man who does not solve the problems of life as a human and who thus quits this world like cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. The human form of life is a most valuable asset for the living entity who can utilize it for solving the problems of life. Therefore, one who does not utilize this opportunity properly is a miser. On the other hand, there is a Brahmana, or he who is intelligent enough to utilize this body to solve all the problems of life. Ya etat aksharam gargi viditva smallokat praiti sa Brahmana. The kripanas or miserly persons waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, country, etc. in the material conception of life. One is often attached to family life, namely to wife, children, and other members, on the basis of skin disease. The Kripana thinks that he is able to protect his family members from death, or the Kripana thinks that his family or society can save him from the verge of death. Such family attachment can be found even in the lower animals who take care of children also. Being intelligent, Arjuna could understand that his affection for family members and his wish to protect them from death were the causes of his perplexities. Although he could understand that his duty to fight was awaiting him still on account of miserly weakness, he could not discharge the duties. He is therefore asking Lord Krishna, the Supreme Spiritual Master, to make a definite solution. He offers himself to Krishna as a disciple. He wants to stop friendly talks. Talks between the master and the disciple are serious, and now Arjuna wants to talk very seriously before the recognized spiritual master. Krishna is therefore the original spiritual master of the science of Bhagavad-gītā, and Arjuna is the first disciple for understanding the Gita. How Arjuna understands the Bhagavad-gītā is stated in the Gita itself. And yet, foolish mundane scholars explain that one need not submit to Krishna as a person, but to the unborn within Krishna. There is no difference between Krishna's within and without, and one who has no sense of this understanding is the greatest fool in trying to understand Bhagavad-gītā. Karpanya doshapahata svabhava prichamitvam dharmasam tacheta echayasyan nishchitam bruitanme Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So Arjuna is feeling very weak in here, and he understands that the reason for his weakness is miserlessness. So he feels that his miser means that he's focused only on himself. Narrow-minded understanding creates weaknesses of heart. But at the same time, if we are Krishna conscious, and these things can happen, it actually is a great blessing because it helps us to surrender unto Krishna. Because one who is, as Srila Prabhupada explained this in the purport, trying to solve one's own problems, protect himself and others from death by one's own strength. He cannot really surrender unto Krishna because in this material world, it's very interesting. It says that we are souls, spirit souls, and spirit souls by nature are dependent on Krishna, who is the Supreme Soul. And soul has feminine nature because soul is dependent on Krishna. And Krishna is the only male. This is what Vaishnava Siddhanta explains. And naturally, we cannot do anything without Krishna. But coming to this material world, regardless of the body, whether male or female, we come to dominate in this world and enjoy the dominion. And this is the big problem, that everyone is trying to be male, be macho, and everybody is fighting with each other for the supremacy, and everyone is suffering as a result. And the process of surrendering unto the Supreme Lord, as it is explained here, can only happen when one realizes one's weakness, one's powerlessness. And there are so many examples in Vedic scriptures how this is happening. Because it's very interesting. It is highlighted that in order to solve all the problems of life, one has to accept spiritual master. And by following the spiritual master's instructions, one can realize one's position in this world. One of the greatest examples of feeling powerless was exhibited by Srila Prabhupada himself. Of course, he's an amazing model for us in everything connected to Krishna consciousness. And as we know, Srila Prabhupada started his journey to execute the mission given to him by his spiritual master at a very old age. He was nearly 70, and he had serious health struggles and nearly died of 2 heart attacks on the ship. So he was feeling very weak, and really he couldn't understand how he would be able to execute the mission of his spiritual master. But it's amazing that in such a condition he still tried. And very interesting text which he wrote on the board of Jaladuta that comes in his Jaladuta diary, 1965. And he expressed his heart in this poem. So we'll read the poem. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I don't know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I don't know how they will be able to understand it. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service, O Lord? I am simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have become under the control of the illusory energy by your will, and therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation, and if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:17 through 21. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. Thus, established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I'm sure that when the transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel engladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. O Lord, I'm just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, O Lord, make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purpose of Bhaktivedanta. So, Srila Prabhupada, founder and Acharya of ISKCON, wrote this bhajan while on the ship Jaladuta to America. He was at the Commonwealth Pier at Boston, MA on September 18, 1965. Devotees from the Sri Sri Radha Gopi Vallabha Temple in Boston celebrate Prabhupada's arrival day. On this poem, he specifically signs it as the following. The most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, on board the ship Jaladuta Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated 18th of September, 1965. So, most likely, many of you are familiar with this amazing poem. But it's really amazing every time we read it. We can see that this is the example of powerlessness, which gives the greatest power. Right? When we try to use our own power, we block Krishna's power. But when we remove our own power, when we realize that we don't have any power, then Krishna can use his powers. And actually, this is the process of surrendering. And yeah, that's why Kunti Devi says, Janma Aishwarya Shuddha Shribi Etamana Bana Puman Naiva Hrati Abhidatum Vai Tvama Kinchana Gochara, that those who are intoxicated with high position in the society, high birth, wealth, knowledge, or beauty cannot address you with sincere feelings because you are the property of materially exhausted. So, yes, sometimes material things might make us feel proud of our achievements, and powerful, might make us feel almost like gods. But in fact, all these things are temporary, and many times they cause a lot of problems. But we don't realize that often. And therefore, we can see that in the example of Srila Prabhupada and many, many other great devotees, how they used this realization that they don't really have any powers to surrender unto Krishna, and then they became instruments of Krishna's power in his hands. And it's quite interesting that Krishna is teaching his sincere devotees. There was one interesting episode with one devotee who was black belt karate champion. And naturally, if someone has this kind of position, the person would feel really powerful, naturally. And so this devotee, he was walking somewhere late in the night, and he was surrounded by the gang of, hooligans who tried to demand money from him, etc. And they were drunk. And he didn't worry about them at all, because he could sort out even sober people, what to speak of drunk guys. And he kind of told them to go away. But then he couldn't realize that one of them was standing behind him, and he had a bottle of wine in his hand. And the guy smacked him at the back of the head with this bottle of wine. And he started actually going unconscious, and he fell on the ground. Didn't expect that attack at all. Wasn't prepared for that. And when he fell on the ground, then they started kicking him with their feet, with their boots. And he was kind of semi-conscious, paralyzed from the blow. And he realized that these guys, they're drunk, they don't understand what they're doing, and they will kick him to death. And then he remembered, because he couldn't do anything on his own, he remembered Nrsingadev. And he started, in his mind, I guess, he started praying to Nrsingadev. And then police appeared and chased these hooligans away. And so he was saved. So that taught him a lesson, that no matter how powerful we are, that the material world is such a place that every single power will be completely nullified at some point. And we can see that it is true even in case of different nations, because the most powerful nations on the planet are brought to their knees by invisible but invincible enemy in form of virus, very small living entities. Scientifically, they're not even defined as living entities. They're defined as bordering form, right, between matter and life. And they're so powerful. They can create so much havoc in people's lives. So we can see that there are so many great insurmountable powers in this world. And actually, it is a great fortune if we feel ourselves powerless, because when we feel ourselves powerful, it is very hard for us to remember Krishna, because we don't feel that we need him in our lives. But when we feel powerless, then we can actually surrender unto Krishna. And of course, Draupadi's example is one of the greatest in Mahabharata, when she was, there was an attempt to disrobe her by the powerful warriors like Duryodhana and Dushasan, and she first tried to protect herself with her powers, but how much power she had against this mighty man. And then she was asking Bhishma and other noble personalities in the audience to protect her, and they didn't do anything. And then she started calling unto Krishna. And then first she raised her one hand, surrendering unto Krishna, but with the other hand she was holding onto her sari. And then she let go the other hand, and she just raised both hands in the air, and she started praying to Krishna for help. And then Krishna made her sari unlimited. So Krishna is just waiting for us to fully surrender and let go of all our attachments, and let go of the understanding that we can do anything on our own. Of course, it doesn't mean that we should not try to do something in our lives, just wait for Krishna to do everything. But it's important to understand that, as Prabhupada would say, man proposes, God disposes, that we should not think that with our power we can do much. And therefore, these are the greatest realizations, I suppose, in any devotee's lives. When we feel powerless, then we can really experience Krishna's power, Krishna's mercy, and it helps us to learn so many wonderful lessons in our Krishna consciousness. And maybe we have few devotees here on this call, and if somebody wants to share your experiences, how your realization of powerlessness helped you to realize Krishna's power and Krishna's mercy. It's quite common for many devotees. So if you like to share your personal experiences, that would be, I think, interesting for everybody. So anyone wants to share?
Hare Krishna, please raise your hand if you want to share. I'll unmute you.
Others can also learn from your experience. We have Nrsingananda Prabhu. We can't hear you.
I've been listening, but I have a phone call coming in, but I've been listening, appreciating very much, been feeling very, very much like I don't have any control over anything. It's a kind of a scary feeling. And the mind doesn't want to stop feeling frightened, not sure how the knowledge will be the pill that I can take to alleviate myself from that mental gymnastic that's causing me a lot of pain.
Mm.
So how do you do that when you feel out of control like that?
So is it helping you to surrender unto Krishna?
I don't, surrender unto Krishna to me is something that's a gift. I mean, of course, I do my rounds and I do my service, but surrendering to Krishna, I never even knew who Krishna was in the beginning. So the surrender that it was kind of, it wasn't a willful surrender. It was almost the only game in town because everything else was illusion. So I had to surrender. I was kind of forced to surrender. And I think that's been the theme my whole life.
Yeah.
Because there's no alternatives that are viable.
Yeah. So maybe you could share some episode, how the circumstances helped you to surrender unto Krishna.
Because I've got this appointed call, I'll join you. Let's hold that thought, and I'll join you shortly.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We'll wait for that.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Christina.
I'm Christina. I actually met you at 26 2nd Avenue. I believe it was 2017. I have my video off because I'm currently taking care of my 2-month child. And she's a little sporadic. But I wanted to say that, I've been in this journey in the path of bhakti for like 4 years now, and I felt a complete surrender actually when I was actually giving birth, because there was so much fear and so much going on. And I actually played the Maha Mantra at the end because the labor was just taking so long, and I completely surrendered. I never felt this before. You're so afraid that you just kind of give in and say, Krishna, just take it, because I cannot do anything. I am, I can die, anything can happen. You're just so unsure of everything. And then in that moment, she was born. Literally, it took me, it wasn't me, but she was there in three pushes. So what was that, like 12 minutes? She was then born, 12-minute labor, because I gave in. I finally gave in after 24 hours of trying to do it by myself. I finally gave in and allowed Krishna to this is, you want her to be here. This is a soul that you want to be here. Do it, because I cannot do it. I am lifeless. And at that moment was when she was crowning, and then she was born. So I feel that's my strongest experience of surrender. I have a struggle with the doership mentality in my life, being born in New York City, and it's the most passionate place in the world. I struggle with the doership mentality, and I felt for once in my life powerless, in a very physical, spiritual, mental, all of it at one moment. And I felt like Krishna took the wheel at that moment. And after that experience, I've just been really trying to get deeper and deeper in my sadhana, because I feel Krishna a lot more now after that. Yeah. And, I also wanted to ask you, I don't want to take it off course, but I know you have this awesome program that you did in Mayapur. I don't know if you're still doing it in India right now, or if it's virtual, for positive. It's a positive project program that you had.
Yes. Thank you, Christina, for sharing.
Yeah.
And it's a very good question that, we have to pause this program. This is ideal, which stands for Innovative Development to Empower Authentic Leaders. That acronym IDEAL, this is what it stands for. So it's basically training spiritual entrepreneurs. We had to pause it, but we'll probably resume it next fall. And yeah, most likely it's gonna be virtual, online, which will make probably will make it easier for many people. But thanks for your interest and sharing. We'll definitely advertise it once we have it. Somebody else wanted to share your experience?
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, Anu.
So I've been connected with Krishna consciousness for many years, but I think the chance with the COVID, it really gave me a big time in my life that I can enhance the real knowledge from Bhagavad-gītā, and that really taking me to next level. So it started from 2020 and it's 2021. I feel in my life that I'm sorry, but I have surrendered. And it has given me like so much power that I'm able to do continuously so much seva bhakti that I feel like he's with me, he's guiding me, he's taking me to the right steps to do in my life. So I cannot thank enough to Lord Krishna and my devotee friends that they really guided me into the right path. And finally, I'm gearing towards that. So it's again as a question, when you're strong and you're mentally and with the full consciousness, you surrender. And that is what is given me from the last 1 year. I'm so sorry that I got emotional, but I feel it and I'm sensing it all the time. And with the time that I have, I'm doing more seva in the house temple. So I cannot say that. I think being in New York, connected with Radha Govinda, and Prabhupada had given us such a great gift that I did not take the advantage of being Indian, lived in India for so many years, that I have given such a gift now. So that is my take on, as of now, in this life, from a bhakti and a great knowledge that I am loving it. And I read 2-3 times Bhagavad-gītā. And from last year to the previous year, what my knowledge was, it's totally different. I read the Bhagavad-gītā as a book initially when I joined, and some words I understood, some I did not understand. But now my conscience is clear. Eating prasadam, getting more connected, it just gives you such a clear vision that what Krishna's message is. What does he want from our human life? What we have to do? Who are we? So it's a great gift. I feel like we should tell all our family members to read, to get engaged with this. But it's a very difficult path to convince people. So I'm trying my best, and I'm trying to engage myself in this as much as I can. That's all I wanted to tell you.
Thank you for sharing, Anna. Very good realization. Yes, normally we appreciate something only after we lose it. Yes, India is offering so much opportunity for becoming Krishna conscious.
Yes. Thank you, Mara.
Yeah, we appreciate the consciousness oftentimes when we lose this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, if you like, I could share one interesting experience I had. Book distribution is a great opportunity for experiencing powerlessness. And I remember I was doing book distribution for a number of years, non-stop, and then continued on and off, combining that with my managerial responsibilities. And it was really amazing experience in so many ways. And my spiritual master was encouraging me. Even when we traveled together, he was telling me that if you see interested people, always have books with you. And if you see interested people, then you distribute them some books. And I remember that instruction. And I was kind of pretty confident of myself that I can distribute books quite easily. And when we were together and at Harinam, Sri Prahlad Brahma, my friend, he was leading Harinam. My spiritual master was playing Mridanga, and I've decided, okay, there are some people who are standing and watching Harinam, and let me distribute them some books. I really wanted my guru to see how I'm distributing books. And I took the books and I approached the first person, and I was pretty confident that he will take at least something. But then that person didn't even want to look at me. And if someone refuses the eye contact, that's a pretty clear sign that there are no chances to distribute any books. But I kind of was thinking that it's not possible. If someone is standing and watching Harinam and gets purified by the chanting of the holy name, they must be interested in the books. So I tried to convince the person until the person actually turned to me and told me that, don't you see that I'm not interested and you should just go away from here? And I was a little bit disheartened, but I thought, okay, some kind of strange person. I tried another one, same response, similar response. Third one, similar response. So after trying few people, I got so discouraged. I was thinking that what's going on? And I decided to stop even trying. But then on my way back, I was passing by my guru and I told him, very materialistic people, they're not interested in our books. And I was hoping for some sympathy from him. But he turned to me and he said, it all depends on your desire. And it was like adding insult to the injury, because I was thinking, how can he tell me that I don't have enough desire? I tried so hard in front of his eyes, and it's not my fault that it didn't work. And then I've decided, okay, if he doesn't trust me that I do have a desire, I'll try few more people, and then he will see that they are not interested, and then he will understand that I do have a desire, but it's all their fault. It's not my fault. And then the very first person I approached, I was so convinced that they're not going to take any books from me that I was practically telling the person that you're not interested in these books, right? And the person said, why do you think so? I am interested in the books. And he took all the books from my hand, the whole set. And I got confused, and I said, but I think you misunderstood. We're not giving these books out for free. We're selling these books. And if you want these books, you'll have to pay. Trying to talk him out. And he said, yeah, it's fine, I can pay. How much do you want? I gave him the figure, which was even higher than the cost. And because I had this understanding that he's not supposed to take these books. And then he said, no problem. And he paid me, even gave him more. He said, you can keep the change. I was so surprised. And I looked back at my spiritual master, and he was laughing at me. And then I thought, okay, let me try another person. And that person took the books, and third and fourth, and so many people, they all took books. And I was very young devotee, so for me it was like a miracle, right? After my guru told me, it all depends on your desire, and then it all started happening. The whole thing, the whole scene has changed immediately. But in retrospect now, of course, I'm realizing that because I was so puffed up and so, confident materially, right? That actually Krishna is in everybody's heart. And so if someone has this kind of mentality, naturally Paramatma in the heart will tell, don't take anything from this guy, let him learn the lesson. But after my pride was broken, and I genuinely felt powerless, I felt I can't do anything, then Krishna really manifested himself just to help me to learn that lesson, that no, it doesn't depend on you. It depends on Krishna's mercy. And so, yeah, I mean, this is why book distribution is such an important service, because it really puts us in this situation when we have to surrender to Krishna. So, somebody else? Let's see if Nrsingananda Prabhu is back with us. Maybe he could share. Otherwise, anyone else wants to share?
Maharaj, I have one request, if you don't
Sure.
mind.
Please.
Can you share the most striking thing that you might have read or heard from Indradumna Maharaj about where he was in highly risky situations from the traveling diary?
Oh, okay. Well, there are so many stories, because oftentimes he goes into very dangerous places to preach Krishna consciousness. And of course, the famous places, one of the most dangerous place was Amazon jungles. He was preaching there. But he was also preaching in Bosnia, when there was a full-on civil war, and devotees have done Harinam, and they didn't know that it was the morning day, that they were kind of they were praying for victims of the war or something like that. And then they took an offense that devotees are kind of celebrating on this sober day. And actually some soldiers who were Muslims, and they've attacked the devotees, and actually, devotees were stabbed by the knife. One of my god brothers, who is a minister of deity worship, Nrsimha Prabhu, he was stabbed and he ended up in hospital. Many devotees ended up in hospitals like that. And Indradumna Maharaj was actually fighting with them because he was trained as a Marine in his youth, and then he was going to the hospitals and rescuing the devotees from there. And one devotee, he was really in critical condition, and he was operated by one Muslim doctor, Muslim surgeon. And these militants, they were searching for the devotees to kill them in hospitals. And they found out that one devotee is in the hospital, and so they went trying to kill him there. And then this surgeon, he said, if you want to kill this man, first you will have to kill me. But if you will kill me, there will be no one to perform any surgeries. If you will need the surgeries, you will also have to die. So you have to decide, what do you want to do? But you wouldn't be able to do anything to this man as long as I am alive. And so they couldn't do anything, and they had to leave the surgeon and the devotee alone. And so my spiritual master, he was asking him that, you're Muslim, but we're not Muslims, we're practicing kind of different faith. And he said, it doesn't matter which faith. This man really had very broad consciousness. And he said, I can see that you're very sincere spiritual practitioners, and I may call God Allah, you may call him Krishna, but he's the same. And so, he's been in many very extreme circumstances, life-threatening situations. And I think he consciously chooses such extreme situations because it does help him to surrender to Krishna. And of course, sannyasis, they have nothing to lose. So it's very interesting to see how he's doing his service over the years. I mean, there have been many situations in his life when he really showed amazing example how one can influence others by spiritual strength. One very powerful example which I witnessed was that when a group of drunk youngsters were offending him and making fun of him, and then instead of becoming upset, he smiled and he gave them a garland of rose flowers. And they were so surprised, that they have completely changed. And then he told myself and other devotees that Prabhupada taught us, if they throw stones, we have to return them flowers. So that's really a powerful example for me, at least. And I've seen him acting in this way in many situations. Hare Krishna. Hope it's fine. So let's see if somebody else has any questions or comments. We can discuss.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances. So going back to something that Christina said about, having that sense of doership. And I was wondering, yeah, I have that same affliction that Christina has. And I was wondering how do we determine, I guess, how do we determine where is that line? Where do we determine where, okay, I've done all that I can do and I just need to surrender it to Krishna, rather than continuing to try to do, to continue in determination? How do we determine where that line is, where we should surrender?
Yes, actually, we can see in the example of Damodar Lila that Mother Yashoda was trying very, very hard to tie Krishna. Mm-hmm. But after she realized she cannot do it, then she started really surrendering, right? But she was not giving up. And then Krishna realized that, okay, he has to let her do that. And we can see Srila Prabhupada, he was feeling powerless. He was feeling that he couldn't do anything, but nevertheless, he never gave up. So giving up is not an option, because if we give up, then, we may not get Krishna's mercy. So at least in Krishna's service, this is where we should use all our abilities and powers. At the same time, we should understand that it may not be enough, and it's only when Krishna decides he will show his mercy. So, our effort and Krishna's mercy, they go hand in hand, but our effort should come first. But for ourselves, we should not, make much effort. If we struggle for material gain, then actually it is counterproductive for our spiritual development. This is one thing which can destroy our bhakti, over endeavor, prayasa. And my spiritual master says that the first and foremost sign of over endeavor is when we don't have time for chanting at least 16 attentive rounds. Then definitely we will know that we are influenced by the mode of passion and carried away by our own sense of power or whatever. by our own desires and passions. All right.
Maharaj, so even in the sense of service, we can be carried away by our desires which are not 100% spiritual, because there are certain circumstances when we see that maybe almost the whole day I'm engaged in some service, but forget about 16 attentive rounds. Even 16 round chanting becomes sometimes difficult. I'm not
Yes.
talking about when I'm wasting time in other things. I'm talking like we are totally engaged in some kind of service, but even those times, is it like my desires are not exactly Krishna conscious? That's why
Yeah.
I'm not able to do.
Yes. Yeah, that's why it is a very good barometer to see whether, we are Krishna conscious or not. If we start neglecting our rounds, then definitely this is influence of lower modes of nature upon us. And so should be a serious warning sign that we should change something in our lives. Come back to the basic practices. All right. So we're supposed to have an hour class, right?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. So thank you all very much. And I wish you all the best with your services and spiritual practices. And I hope to see you in nearest future. Luckily, pandemic is almost over. Only 2 or 3 months left before it's over. So hopefully we'll have opportunity for offline association as well. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj, so much
Hare
for your
Krishna.
wonderful
Hare
association.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. All the best. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next week we have Bhakti Rasāyana Sagara Maharaj joining us from Europe. So please be tuned. Thank you. And on Valentine's Day, we have our GBC Devamrit Swami Maharaj giving a exciting class. Stay tuned for further updates. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for service. Thank you, devotees,
Hare
for
Krishna.
association. Thank you, Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.